Tonight, new details in a slew of sexual assault allegations against school divisions. Which former First Nations leader is named as a defendant? Also tonight, feeling left behind.
Well, it's a nice day. What's it like when it's minus 30?
What Winnipeggers with mobility issues are saying about the city's overhauled transit system. Plus, answering the call of duty.
I texted the boys, let them know that we were going to land, and they were just over the moon.
Meet the 3 Winnipeggers hoping to be crowned the best Call of Duty players in the world.
CTV News. Live from downtown Winnipeg with Marilee Caruso.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. New details tonight regarding a rash of lawsuits against a number of Manitoba school divisions. CTV News first told you about the 27 civil cases filed in recent months, alleging sexual and physical assault by a number of teachers, principals, and other division staff. Now we can report a former Assembly of First Nations national chief is named as a co-defendant in one of these cases. Standing by live in the studio with the details is CTV's Catherine Dow. Catherine, what can you tell us?
So, Marilee, one of the suits, which is filed against the Saugeen First Nation Education Authority, also names Phil Fontaine as a co-defendant. Now, Fontaine served as national chief of the Assembly of First Nations 3 times between 1997 and 2009. The suit, filed in May in the Court of King's Bench, alleges Fontaine sexually assaulted a high school student around 1970. Fontaine would have been in his late 20s at the time. According to the statement of claim, Fontaine was granted a position of power by the Education Authority. In this capacity, the suit alleges Fontaine arranged and led a field trip where he sexually assaulted the victim. The claim says Fontaine used his position of authority and trust to prey upon the victim, then exhibited a pattern of behavior to make her feel unsafe to report any wrongdoings. As a result, the victim says she dropped out of school and suffered PTSD, physical pain, mental anguish, addiction, and more. The suit alleges the Education Authority was negligent and failed in its duty of care to the former student. The suit seeks general punitive and special damages, payment for past and current medical services, as well as costs. Now, we have reached out to Fontaine multiple times for comment and have not heard back by a given deadline. Also important to note, the Education Authority has filed a statement of defense, calling for the claim to be dismissed, citing the alleged perpetrator was not an employee during the incident. A reminder, none of these allegations have been tested in court.
Now, Catherine, as you mentioned, this is a civil case. Do we know if there have been any criminal charges filed?
So, Marilee, we did reach out to RCMP to ask them this. Mounties say they do not have an investigation related to these allegations.
All right. Thanks for this, Catherine.
You're welcome.
2 elderly Winnipeggers are in hospital tonight recovering from a brutal assault by a stranger Saturday. It happened early in the evening in the 300 block of Elgin Avenue. Police were already en route to the scene after reports of a man running into traffic. Before they arrived, police say the suspect pushed an 80-year-old woman to the ground and then punched the 85-year-old man she was with in the face when he tried to intervene. The suspect allegedly continued to punch and stomp the pair after they were on the ground. Police arrived minutes later and took a 28-year-old man into custody. In addition to assault and resisting arrest charges, he was wanted on a warrant for suspension of parole. Both victims were taken to hospital, one in stable condition, the other in unstable condition with serious but non-life-threatening injuries. Conversations around bail reform are happening everywhere, from City Hall to Parliament Hill. And tonight, we're hearing from Crown attorneys here in Manitoba who are demanding change. CTV's Daniel Helmerson joins us now live with more on this. Daniel, what are Crown attorneys calling for?
Well, Marilee, prosecutors in bail court say they are swamped with paperwork for cases that may not even appear before a judge, and they want more notice about which matters will be going for bail on any given day.
Fast-paced and frenzied, that's how Crown attorneys in Manitoba describe bail court.
They say they're overburdened with paperwork and they're calling for more time to prepare.
One of the main problems is that when you step in the door to court that morning, you have no idea what it is that's going to be proceeding that day.
The union representing Crown attorneys is asking the province to make rule changes so that prosecutors are given 24 hours notice before contested bail hearings go before a judge. In those hearings, prosecutors argue why an accused person should remain behind bars, while defense lawyers lay out plans for release. Crown attorney Ben Wickstrom says he and his colleagues spend a lot of time reviewing cases that never actually make it before a judge, or they're handed cases after bail court has already started for the day.
So the challenge for us is just being prepared basically for everything that's in the bail triage court at all times, which is sort of not the best way for our attention to be focused.
The union says more notice would allow them to focus on a smaller number of hearings and give them adequate time to prepare submissions.
There are many, many, many things that we need to check and ensure before we propose anything to the court, whether we are opposed or whether this bail plan is sufficient to protect the public.
The union is also asking for more help managing the workload. That includes calling on the province to assign more Crown attorneys to bail court. In a statement, Justice Minister Matt Wiebe says our government is committed to strengthening bail, which is why we introduced a 5-point bail system endorsed by the National Police Federation. I appreciate the union for sharing their recommendations on ways to improve the functioning of bail court. The union is also asking the City of Winnipeg to allocate police resources to assist in vetting bail plans.
This is about better plans being brought forward that will actually do what is intended and keep the accused out of trouble.
In an email, Mayor Scott Gillingham tells CTV News decisions about allocating police resources rest with the Chief of Police and the Winnipeg Police Board, but he's open to conversations about how the city can better support Crown attorneys so bail plans are strong and effective.
Any word from defense lawyers on this proposal, Daniel?
Yes, Marilee, the Criminal Defense Lawyers Association of Manitoba says any changes to bail court procedures are unnecessary and undesirable, and say under existing legislation, bail hearings for accused people must happen at the earliest opportunity.
All right, thanks for this, Daniel. A Winnipeg City Councillor says the new transit network is leaving some riders behind. The new system has fewer stops in order to speed up bus trips. But as CTV's Jeff Keel shows you, Sherry Rollins says seniors and people with mobility issues are struggling.
Walter's daily walk to his bus stop is longer than it used to be.
It used to be less than 5 minutes. Now it's closer to 10, 15.
Those extra steps aren't ideal.
I can still do it. My knees are deteriorating.
It's a similar story for some riders who say the new bus network that started in late June is problematic for them.
I do not know what plans they have or why they changed it, but it totally...
The previous system had 5,200 bus stops. The new one has 1,200 fewer. The idea, the bus stops less to speed up commute times. But City Councillor Sherry Rollins says this is leaving people behind.
People are concerned. People are worried, and they're coming forward in droves.
Roland says some seniors, people living with disabilities, and those going to medical appointments are having to walk greater distances or have no service at certain times. She wants immediate changes, including restoring nighttime service to the north and west ends and downtown, with a focus on making the system more accessible.
There is a deepening inequality that has been introduced to this city through the primary transit network.
One of the organizations raising concerns is the Cerebral Palsy Association of Manitoba.
It's the difference between taking the bus and not taking the bus. It's the difference between having a good experience and a horrible experience.
Winnipeg Transit says removing stops makes buses run better, but it knows the span of service isn't cutting it for riders on some routes in some areas. So it says they are listening to feedback and have already made some changes with more to come. And they say they're also hearing a lot of positive stories about how the system is running smoothly.
I find it's very efficient. I think it's convenient that they lessen the stops.
I really like it. Yeah, the fewer stops makes it better, and you get to the place faster.
Jeff Keel, CTV News, Winnipeg.
Listen to the people who deal directly with Manitoba seniors. That is the message today from a coalition of seniors groups to the province's new Seniors Advocate Office. The coalition held a joint news conference today. It says the Advocate Office is long overdue, but the office must meet the needs of Manitoba seniors. Slated to open November 1st, the Seniors Advocate Office will advise the provincial government about policies and programs related to seniors' home care and health care. The coalition says the office needs to listen to the groups caring for seniors on the ground.
We have done a lot of work in the past years to identify the needs of seniors, the wants of seniors, and how best to provide some of the services based on what they're telling us.
The coalition wants the creation of an advisory board to ensure the office makes decisions based on data. For example, a study by the British Columbia Seniors Advocate found disparities between nonprofit and for-profit long-term facilities. The BC Advocate is presenting its findings here in Manitoba in October. North End residents celebrated the first day of fall with a community walk. Indigenous Vision for the North End held a Smudge the North End community walk this morning. There was drumming, smudging, and singing as walkers made their way from North Point Douglas Women's Centre to Wynne Gardiner Place on McGregor, where there was a free lunch. The event was held to honor the fall equinox, a time of balance, gratitude, and renewal.
I think it's very welcomed by the community. It's also a great opportunity, for folks who are not necessarily able to participate in the ceremony to have ceremony come to them, and just to gather as a community in celebration and healing.
This is the fourth year the North End Smudge Walk has been held. All right, let's bring in Colleen Brady now and get a first look at our very first fall Skywatch forecast. What do you got for us, Colleen?
Well, I know sometimes folks want to know the precise moment that the equinox happened. The autumnal equinox. Now I can't see equinox. It happened at 1:19 p.m. So in case you're wondering, that's when it happened. And my goodness, you wouldn't know it by the conditions outside. Last hour, the hottest place in all of Canada was Dauphin Airport, 28.5 degrees. That distinction this hour goes to Carman, Manitoba, the same temperature, 28.5. Here in Winnipeg, we got up to about 26, which is 10 degrees above normal. So you get the picture. It was very warm. We'll take a look back at some summer fun facts, too, with respect to temperatures and just how hot it got as well and how warm it's going to stay for the rest of the week. We're going to take a look at that as well. Let's take a look right now, though, through the Bath Fitter Live Eye, shall we? Bath Fitter, your bath and shower experts for more than 40 years. In Winnipeg, it is still 26 degrees. With the humidex, it feels like 29. Mostly sunny, light winds from the east-southeast. The temperature is dropping, and the humidity right now is 48%.
Thanks, Colleen. A Manitoba government minister's constituency office was recently targeted by vandals. White placards cover the front-facing windows of Families Minister Nahanni Fontaine's office on North Main Street. Tape can also be seen covering up long cracks in the glass. A spokesperson confirmed police have been contacted and says the office is still open. It comes less than 2 weeks after Fontaine shared and then deleted a social media post regarding the killing of American conservative activist Charlie Kirk, sparking outrage and prompting the Premier to ask her to apologize. Evacuees from a northern Manitoba town are heading home after more than 2 months away. In a Facebook post Thursday, the town of Leaf Rapids announced residents are welcome to start returning today. Those who have private transportation can arrange their own return and are invited to do so at any time. Those returning by bus should expect to be home by Tuesday. The town will post more information about bus transportation once it's available. Returning evacuees are asked to visit the town center to access support, including cleaning kits, mental health resources, and advice about spoiled food. Sex assault charges against the chief of a Manitoba First Nation have been stayed. Earlier this month, Crown prosecutors in Saskatchewan entered a stay of proceedings against Donald Smoke after determining there was no reasonable likelihood of conviction. Smoke, the acting chief of Dakota Plains First Nation, was arrested and charged with 2 counts of sexual assault in February. Saskatchewan RCMP said at the time the incidents were alleged to have taken place in Kindersley, Saskatchewan in February of 2024. The matter was set to proceed to a jury trial in Saskatoon, but before Crown prosecutors decided not to proceed. Smoke's lawyer told CTV News the allegation was, quote, meritless, malicious, and false. The province's police watchdog is looking for witnesses after 2 suspects on the run rolled their vehicle in West St. Paul. According to the report by Winnipeg Police, it all started around 3:30 a.m. Friday when someone reported 2 people breaking into a construction trailer on Ken Oblique Drive. Air One tracked the vehicle to the Perimeter Highway and Pipeline Road, where officers unsuccessfully tried to bring it to a stop with a stop stick. A short time later, the suspect vehicle failed to make a turn on a gravel road near Holmes Road and Pineda, where it rolled into the ditch. One suspect was brought to hospital and later released, but the other received fractures to their spine. Anyone who saw what happened or has video footage is asked to contact the Independent Investigation Unit. $138,000 taken from criminals will be going instead to Manitoba Police Services. The province has announced how much it will be spending cash from the Criminal Property Forfeiture Fund. $99,000 is going to the Winkler Police Service for a regional policing model study in Winkler and Morden. They'll also get $22,000 for medical equipment to start a police emergency medical support unit. In addition, the province is sending $15,000 to RCMP to hold a violence threat risk assessment training program in Steinbach for RCMP officers and Hanover School Division staff. RCMP are also going to receive $2,500 to help vulnerable youth and their families. A Winnipeg video game organization is gearing up for a fight for a $1 million prize. The team is headed to the States to play in the Call of Duty Warzone World Series. CTV's Harrison Shin talked with the team's captain today.
No, we actually couldn't believe it. I had just woken up, I checked my phone, I saw the notification, and I thought I was dreaming.
But it was real, and Marquez's team, Lotus 8, is heading to the World Series of Call of Duty Warzone next week. He's the team captain, and if you don't know what the game is...
Warzone is a first-person shooter battle royale. So 150 players drop into a map. A zone closes in every 4 or 5 minutes until there's only one team standing.
It could be worth $1 million if they win the competition being held in Las Vegas, Nevada this year.
We want to win, of course. We're feeling great. We've been playing some scrims with the qualified teams, and we've been doing well in those.
Video gaming at this level is also known as esports, and competitions are growing internationally. Melanie Penner is CEO of the Manitoba Esports Association. She says organizations like Lotus 8 show how it should be done.
It's a very loving and welcoming community, and I think that the fact that you have someone from the province representing it, I think is really amazing.
But it's not been without speed bumps for Marquez. He says he was initially dropped from another rosters, but his current teammates picked him up, and together they are going for the win.
Whatever your dream is, chase your dreams. Nothing's impossible. Whether you think it's out of reach, it's not. If you put in the time, the hard work, and the dedication, it will pay off.
Harrison Shin, CTV News, Winnipeg.
Still ahead, Canada joins a handful of other G7 nations in recognizing Palestinian statehood.
We have to push on this now.
Why the Prime Minister says now is the time despite opposition from the U.S. and Israel. Plus, late-night host Jimmy Kimmel will soon be returning to the airwaves. Those stories and more when we return.
Your morning just got a little brighter. Wake up and start your day with CTV Your Morning, and you could be $20,000 richer. Simply watch CTV Your Morning Winnipeg for the hourly code word. Then enter it online at ctvwinnipeg.ca for your chance to win. Imagine what you could do with an extra $20,000. CTV Your Morning's $20,000 giveaway. Watch CTV Your Morning Winnipeg, weekday morning 6 to 9.
Taking a look at the markets now, crude oil dropped 12 cents. The Canadian dollar is down to 72.38 cents U.S. Gold jumped $69. The TSX added 190 points. The Dow Jones gained 66 points, while the Nasdaq rose 157 points. A new report shows restaurants are under pressure as consumers steer away from dining out, while operational costs squeeze profits. 3 in 4 Canadians are choosing to eat out less often due to the high cost of living, according to a Restaurants Canada report. The share was even higher among those aged 18 to 34 at 81%. Now, the organization says businesses are also trying to keep up with the growing price of food, labor, and insurance. The report suggests 41% of restaurants were either operating at a loss or breaking even as of June. World leaders are in New York City this week at the United Nations for the 80th General Assembly. Front and center is the question of Palestinian statehood. More than 150 countries, including most recently Canada, have officially recognized Palestine. It's a political decision, one that now puts several G7 countries in conflict with both Israel and the United States. CTV's Judy Trin reports.
As we meet, civilians are targeted and international law trampled in Gaza, the Ukraine, Sudan, and beyond.
As the 80th session of the United Nations General Assembly opens, growing support for Palestinian statehood dominates the agenda. 3 G7 nations, Britain, France, and Canada, are recognizing the state of Palestine to apply political pressure to end the war in Gaza.
We have to push on this now because, as I say, the possibility, in absolute violation of the UN Charter and in absolute violation of international law, of self-determination for the Palestinian peoples is being erased.
Carney says Hamas would not have a role in governance. Instead, Canada, in a coordinated effort with like-minded countries, will work with the Palestinian Authority in the West Bank toward a two-state solution in a plan for peace that could also call for troops.
There are many proposals, as I suspect you're aware, from a variety of Arab states, combination of Arab states and European states, to which Canada would be party.
It has been nearly 2 years since the October 7th attacks, but Israel's prime minister has vowed not to stop the war until Hamas is eradicated.
The starvation and devastation are utterly intolerable.
It is not diplomacy. When Hamas is praising this conference and calling it the fruit of October 7th, we know it's a problem.
4 of the 5 permanent members of the UN Security Council, Britain, France, Russia, and China, recognize Palestine, except for the United States.
He feels this does not do anything to release the hostages, which is the primary goal right now in Gaza, does nothing to end this conflict and bring this war to a close. And frankly, he believes it's a reward to Hamas.
U.S. President Donald Trump will make his stance clear when he speaks in front of the UN General Assembly on Tuesday. Right now, 150 nations recognize the state of Palestine, but the one country that has the most influence on Israel, the United States, does not. Judy Trin, CTV News, New York.
Late night TV host Jimmy Kimmel will be back on the air tomorrow. It comes nearly a week after his controversial suspension by television network ABC and its parent company Disney. The company says, quote, "It has made a decision we made because we felt some of the comments were ill-timed and thus insensitive. We have spent the last days having thoughtful conversations with Jimmy," end quote. The show was pulled over comments Kimmel made after the shooting death of conservative commentator Charlie Kirk. His suspension led to outrage and sparked concerns about free speech in the U.S. There is a new report about the loss of wildlife in Canada.
It's a collective human footprint on the landscape now accumulating now over decades. And so it's the continual, gradual increase of these species of conservation concern, which is indicative to me that the trend is going in the wrong direction.
The Planet report revealed the starkest drop in populations since tracking began 2 decades ago. More than half of the species studied are decreasing in abundance, with the largest drop being seen in grasslands. The World Wildlife Fund says urgent action is needed to expand protected areas in order to reverse the trend. The Canadian Football League is making some big changes that include moving the goalposts.
Our game must continue to evolve and modernize for our players, our fans, and our partners.
The league is moving the goalposts from the front of the end zone to the back. This will allow for more touchdowns in the middle, remove an obstruction for players, and create better sight lines for fans. The field is also shrinking from 110 yards to 100. The single point, known as the Rouge, is staying, but only for tackles in the end zone. And the team benches will be on the opposite sides in every stadium. The league says the changes will create more consistency and lead to more touchdowns. Instagram is rolling out a new AI tool targeting teens in Canada who registered with adult accounts. The social media giant says the technology will identify accounts it suspects belong to teens, even if they list an adult birthday. The AI model will be trained on information including the dates accounts were created and interactions they had with other profiles and content. If Instagram suspects a teen of trying to deceive the company with an adult birthday, the platform will place the user in a teen account. Main Street Project is showing off its newly renovated housing facility. The homeless shelter and health facility is giving its home on Martha Street a total makeover. It's just phase one of an $18 million project, which will also expand the facility. Today, we got a look inside its newly renovated rooms and brand new common area. The project's executive director says it provides privacy and dignity to those transitioning from homelessness and addictions.
Having a really great common area like this where people can watch TV, go on computers, a really great dining area that'll be set up over there, a kitchen to do cooking classes and baking in, like really gives people a lot to really enhance their lives and also make big changes in their life, and we want to help them be a part of that change.
The project is continuing to provide support while the renovations take place. A majority of the funding came from the federal government through energy retrofit grants. The building will be 45% more energy efficient. The renovation is expected to be fully complete in about 15 months.
We wouldn't dare take chocolate ice cream out of the lineup. It's a very popular flavor.
Amid a global cocoa shortage, ice cream makers are starting to get creative. We've got the scoop next.
I'll be watching that. And you want to watch this long-range forecast. It's beautiful for Winnipeg. Lots of sunshine and lots of very warm temperatures, exceptionally so on Wednesday. 25 degrees a day, a lot like today. Very warm, very sunny, when the normal high for this time of year is just 16. 19 and abundantly sunny on Thursday. Mix of sun and cloud Friday, warming back up to 23. And then a look ahead to the first fall weekend of the year. Saturday, sunny, 21 degrees, 23 degrees on Sunday under a mix of sun and cloud.
The global cocoa crisis has taken a big bite out of inventory of some ice cream shops. The shortage and higher prices are threatening to change at least one fan favorite at a small shop in PEI. Maria Chareau has the scoop.
A test batch hits the mixer at Holman's Ice Cream. The shop's go-to cocoa powder is no longer on the shelves, says owner Daniel Meister. So the race is on for new recipes.
We wouldn't dare take chocolate ice cream out of the lineup. It's a very popular flavor.
There are backup batches of the staple in the freezer, while the team hunts for the right replacement with a similar fat content and color. Alternatives exist, but sometimes at quadruple the original cost.
So this is what we've been experimenting with right now. I think it's about $600 for a 20 kilogram bag of cocoa. That 20 kilograms will do 5 or 6 batches of ice cream. It makes a significant difference in our cost.
The math matters even more for small businesses. Holman's already raised prices by $1 earlier this year. Cocoa costs have surged since late 2023 due to production challenges in Ghana and the Ivory Coast caused by climate change. Some companies have cut products altogether, says agriculture expert Sylvain Charlebois.
They knew they couldn't sell some of these products at a higher price, essentially. So they stopped carrying some of these products.
His advice is not to rely on a single source. Instead, businesses and manufacturers should have a few suppliers for important ingredients. Holman's has more than 100 handcrafted flavors in its repertoire, with 16 in daily rotation. Some will need tweaks.
The triple chocolate still passes the taste test, and the team here at Holman's hopes its new recipes will be just as good. Maria Sru, CTV News, Summerside, Prince Edward Island.
Today is the fall equinox, meaning day and night will get equal time briefly before the days start getting shorter than the nights.
It's beautiful. It's fall. The leaves are turning. The weather is perfect.
I love going to the cabin and doing my side-by-side rides through the trails, seeing the colors of the leaves change and watching the leaves fall. And of course, I love the fact that it's cooler. And as you can see, I love my bike rides at the park here.
Today is the start of fall for the Northern Hemisphere and spring in the Southern Hemisphere. On the equator, the sun was directly overhead today at noon local time. Here in the Northern Hemisphere, sunlight will gradually diminish each day until the winter solstice on December 21st. Here's a fun fact for you. The word equinox comes from two Latin words meaning equal and night.
CTV Skywatch weather brought to you by South Beach Casino and Resort. Visit southbeachcasino.ca.
Colleen Brady back once again with your fall forecast, and not a bad way to kick off fall today.
No, I'll take another run at this because it is a mouthful. The autumnal equinox, it happened earlier this afternoon, and boy, was it warm today all across Manitoba. As I mentioned, over the last couple of hours, the hottest places in all of Canada have been right here in Manitoba. It was Dauphin last hour. Nowhere is hotter in Canada right now than in Carman, Manitoba. Winnipeg got up to about 26, a good 10 degrees above normal. But as for the summer season, that's just ended. If you're curious, the hottest day was June 28th. We reached 32.9 degrees here in Winnipeg. Now, we had one day in June where we exceeded 30 degrees. It was that day, of course. One day in August where we exceeded 30 degrees. We had 5 days where it was warmer than 30 in the month of July. The coolest daytime high, well, you might remember it because it wasn't too long ago, September 4th, it was just 9 degrees here in Winnipeg. Much warmer than that today. And as you saw that long-range forecast, temperatures will be much warmer than that as well for the remainder of the week. And the sunshine too, courtesy of some upper ridging, keeping the sky clear today, the sun shining and those temperatures nice and warm. Not much is going to change tonight. So this is the not much to show you here, folks, edition of the Futurecast. Pretty clear all across our region, across Manitoba, east into northwestern Ontario. Some areas should look out for fog. I'll show you where in just a moment or two. As we get into Tuesday morning, though, lots of sun. That will continue all day long. Another beautiful day in our region, taking us into a nice night tomorrow night and into Wednesday, where it won't be quite as warm, but still above normal for this time of year. The only weather action happens with a bit of a rain, and it's a narrow band at that, popping up into the northwest part of the province late on Wednesday afternoon into the evening. But for tonight for Winnipeg, no rain in sight. It will be clear. We may see fog develop overnight. Light winds out of the northeast on the way down to that low of 12 degrees. So if you have any overnight or early commute driving to do, just be mindful that that fog could appear, which could reduce visibility. 15 for the commute, a mix of sun and cloud tomorrow. Light and variable winds. They pick up only slightly tomorrow afternoon out of the northwest at about 10 kilometers an hour on the way to a nice sunny high of 24 degrees. Up into the northeast tonight, partly cloudy for all regions, but Gillam and Island Lake are the most likely to see that fog pop up. Both those areas down to 13. Thompson down to 9 degrees tonight, 23 in Thompson tomorrow under a mix of sun and cloud. But you see Churchill all the way up to 24 in the sun. Churchill set a warm weather record yesterday on the last day of summer, by the way. Just a few clouds tonight over Flin Flon in the Paw, down to 12 degrees. Watch for fog in Lynn Lake and Norway House. Sunny around the region, highs of 23 and 24 degrees, so very warm up there as well. A few clouds tonight across the southwest. Overnight lows of 9 and 10 degrees, including in Brandon and in Dauphin. Those areas going up to 25, 26 degrees in abundant sunshine tomorrow. A few clouds tonight at most over the southeast, including Winnipeg. Some fog, though, to watch out for. 11, 12 degrees overnight. Sunshine or a mix of sun and cloud around the region. Highs in the mid-20s. And in northwestern Ontario, again, watch for fog overnight down to 10, 12 degrees. And then tomorrow, a nice mix of sun and cloud with a high of 24. Now, Ken calls this an autumn avalanche. I have to agree with him. All those fall leaves that have fallen there out in Old St. Vital here in Winnipeg. A great photo, as is this next one. This was Abigail's view of beautiful Barons River. Email us your weather photos to winnipegweather@ctv.ca.
Thanks, Colleen. The Royal Canadian Air Force marked a solemn milestone in Winnipeg. The Battle of Britain was the first major air campaign of the Second World War. Sunday, a ceremony to commemorate the 85th anniversary of the campaign was held at the Garden of Memories. Members of the military, cadets, and the public gathered to lay wreaths. The heritage officer of 17 Wings says the event is a connection to our past.
Well, it's commemorative and connectedness with our past. One of the things we do every year is to read out the names of the 21 fallen Canadians who died during that particular battle. The message that we continue, the RCF is still very active, continuing to defend Canada and Canadians, and we understand where we began.
Gord Crossley added the event happens every year at the same location, and he hopes to see more people attend in the future.
I'm literally shaking as I'm talking about it because it's so scary to think that we're now going to be creating a stigma against moms.
Coming up, Donald Trump links autism in children to the use of Tylenol during pregnancy. That story just ahead. U.S. President Donald Trump is linking autism in children to the use of Tylenol during pregnancy, and that connection is already having ripple effects far beyond the medical community. Adrian Gobriel explains.
When young Luca was just 3 years old, his mother, Christina Kalura, received confirmation of what she already suspected.
My thought process automatically turned to not what he can't do, but what he can do.
The medical claim being made by the Trump administration has left her fuming.
I'm literally shaking as I'm talking about it because it's so scary to think that we're now going to be creating a stigma against moms.
What type of stigma do you believe a mother such as yourself could now be facing?
What did you do when you were pregnant to cause, and I can't even say it, cause your child to have autism?
Kalura isn't alone.
When I was pregnant with my daughter, who is on the spectrum, I didn't take any medication at that time, so there was no Tylenol in the mix, and she's autistic.
Alina Cameron's daughter, Fiona, is 10 years old. Cameron is the president of the Ontario Autism Coalition. She's also an epidemiologist.
There has been language coming out of the United States recently that is very troubling to the larger autism community here in Canada.
This study released by the American Medical Association journal JAMA investigated the use of antihistamine during pregnancy and children's risk of autism, ADHD, and intellectual disability among nearly 2.5 million children in Sweden. It found that antihistamine use during pregnancy was not associated with children's risk of autism, ADHD, or intellectual disability in sibling-controlled analysis.
The overwhelming consensus is that Tylenol is safe during pregnancy. It is probably the safer alternative. Tylenol is probably safer than many of the other over-the-counter medications like Advil and ibuprofen.
For Kalura, she's trying to take the day's news from south of the border in stride.
Our main focus should be on the supports and the therapies and supporting our children of all needs and abilities.
Christina Kalura asked that we share this quote in hopes that it might help other Canadian families who are struggling today. She says, "Autism is a journey I never expected, but I sure do love my tour guide."
Adrian Gobriel, CTV News.
A new study has found riding a bike is associated with a 19% lower risk of dementia and a 22% lower risk of Alzheimer's disease. That's compared to taking non-active travel modes like a car, bus, or train. The study involved 480,000 participants from Great Britain. It was published in the journal JAMA Network Open. Physical activity has long been associated with lower dementia risk in multiple studies, so much so it's been identified as one of 14 factors responsible for preventing or delaying roughly 45% of dementia cases. The number of Canadians with dementia is expected to reach 1 million in the next 5 years, and there are concerns about the healthcare system's ability to deal with the increase. CTV's Kimmel explains.
How much is that dog?
It may not look like it, but what you see here is David Estrin and his daughter Simone fighting back against dementia.
How much is that dog in the window?
Arf, arf. With what they enjoy most, music.
That looks like something I made.
And art.
It looks like someone I know.
I grew up singing in different places.
We've been able to take art classes together. You've been going to choir.
Becoming a more common way to help people living with Alzheimer's, sparking memories and feelings.
It provides stimulation. It's really been shown to improve people's moods, help relieve stress.
During the last couple of shots.
Here at the Health Sciences Center in Toronto, they're learning new ways to detect and prevent Alzheimer's earlier.
The next decade is going to, I believe, see the breakthroughs in delivering treatment.
And that's good news because in the next decade, they're expecting thousands of more patients across the country.
So we're talking about staggering numbers in Canada.
Right now, there's roughly 750,000 people in Canada with dementia. That's according to the Alzheimer's Society of Canada. By 2030, that's set to increase to nearly 1 million people, and by 2050, more than 1.7 million Canadians will have dementia.
But whether Canada's healthcare sector is ready is another question.
The main way to avoid this tsunami of dementia is to spend the dollars now to develop research on prevention and treatment so we don't have to treat those patients in 5, 10, 15 years.
For this father-daughter duo, they're working with what they have to keep David's mind as sharp for as long as possible.
My dad gives me hope. I mean, seeing how you're handling everything.
I do hope. And hopes treatment options can catch up.
Oh, that was beautiful, Dad.
To save him.
Yeah.
Kimmel, CTV News, Toronto.
Medical Watch is brought to you by Manuke and Coster Denture Clinic.
That's also the importance of this, is that it's helping people get that foot in the door.
Their stories are as varied as the playwrights themselves. Your chance to hear some up-and-coming plays before they even hit the stage. Next in Spotlight.
Spotlight, sponsored by the Casinos of Winnipeg, presenting Gord Bamford.
Well, here is your chance to experience some newly created Indigenous plays. The Pimuteowin Creator Circle is back for its 5th annual festival. All this week, playwrights have been working on their scripts for several months, and from now right through to Saturday, you can attend free table reads every evening. Program Director Ian Ross says the stories range from comedy to horror, and the writers themselves all have varying levels of experience.
And so there are also people that don't have a lot of experience, but they have a story to tell. And that's also the importance of this, is that it's helping people get that foot in the door. Because, you know, many years ago in the 90s when I started out, like, it was really hard. It was quite a struggle.
Readings happen each evening at 7 over at the Tom Hendry Warehouse, aside from Saturday, which takes place at 2:30 p.m. The event is free and you don't even need a ticket. No major shakeups at the weekend box office, which slowed considerably compared to recent weeks. The latest Demon Slayer movie held on to the top spot with $17.3 million US across North America. That put it ahead of football thriller Him from producer Jordan Peele, which brought in about $13.5 million. The Conjuring Last Rites wasn't far behind, though, with $13 million in ticket sales. Well, the first trailer is out for the next Star Wars film.
Impressive.
According to the logline, the film follows legendary Mandalorian bounty hunter played by Pedro Pascal and his young apprentice Grogu, who have been enlisted to support the fledgling New Republic. In addition to Pascal, the case includes Sigourney Weaver as a fighter pilot, Jeremy Allen White as Jabba the Hutt's son Rota, and Johnny Coyne as an Imperial warlord. It's set to hit theaters May 22nd. And the trailer for the new Tim Robinson comedy, The Chair Company, has finally dropped.
Thank you for calling National Business Solutions, the #1 destination for office furniture.
I witnessed a problem.
I'm very sorry to hear that, sir. What was the problem?
It's a big problem. I'm uncovering it.
Now, the trailer doesn't give a lot away, but it seems like Tim's character, William Ronald Trosper, is going to be stuck in the middle of a conspiracy he may be trying to solve. There also seems to be a lot of comedic yelling, one of Robinson's trademarks, of course. Now, The Chair Company makes its debut October 12th on HBO Max and on Crave. Till then, settle in for a great night of entertainment starting at 7 with The Voice, and test your knowledge at 9 with The Weakest Link. It's all right here tonight on CTV.
A French tradition returned to the streets of Paris this weekend. How far waitstaff had to carry loaded trays in the annual waitstaff race.
Women's clothing provided by RW & Company. Salon services provided by S&Teak Spa Salon.
Tonight, Jimmy Kimmel returning to late night. what Disney now says about why it's putting the comedian back on air. We'll have that and more later on CTV National News.
And on this first autumn evening of the year, it is mostly sunny and very warm, 26 degrees. When you factor in the humidex, it feels like 29. Light winds coming from the east-southeast at 4 kilometers an hour. 26 was the highest temperature of the day, a good 10 degrees above normal for this time of year. Not a record, though. 32.2 degrees was the record high set back in 1938. Tonight, 12 and clear, with the possibility, though, of some fog overnight into the early morning commute. Watch for that. Otherwise, sunny and 24 Tuesday. The sun keeps on coming on Wednesday merrily. So do the warm temperatures, 25, 19 and sunny Thursday, back into the 20s on Friday. The first full weekend of the fall season looks beautiful. Sunshine or a mix of sun and cloud with highs in the low 20s.
Thanks, Colleen. Well, finally for us tonight, wait staff put their speed to the test in Paris as they race through the streets of the French capital. Hundreds of contestants took part in the event Sunday. They had to carry a tray loaded with water, coffee, and a croissant and walk a roughly 3-kilometer course without spilling a drop. The race was first held back in 1914. It returned last year after a more than decade-long hiatus. I would fail miserably at this.
No kidding. Look at them go through
That's
the streets.
a skill. That is
really
a skill.
is.
All right, that does it for us tonight. Have a good first evening of fall.
It's beautiful.
We'll see you back here tomorrow.